Hi, and welcome to A Down Under Yarn. My name's Fiona, also known as Fifikins, Fifikins. I am Fifikins on Ravelry, on Twitter, on Plurk, on Flickr, on Instagram, and on Pinterest, and a number of other places as well. Usually, if you type in Fifikins, that's me. Except on eBay, where it's some English chick who's never bought anything, so I had to be Ms. Fifikins. But hey. Welcome to the first episode. Let's give this a go. This is something I've been thinking about doing for a while. I love watching podcasts. I love watching other Australian podcasts, New Zealand podcasts. I did want this to have a bit of a down under yarn, down under feel to it. I'm a yarn. Yarn, of course, we all know what yarn is. It's the fibre which we work with, the medium with which we create. But in Australia, a yarn's also a story. You go and have a yarn, you have a chat to someone, and each week I look forward to having a chat with you, telling you about what I've been up to, what my plans are, telling you about some other things in my life, what else I've been doing, what else I've been up to, other Australian things. It's 5:45 on a Sunday evening here. I'm out on the deck. So we've got quite a beautiful breeze blowing around at the moment, which is cooling things down a little bit. I'm up here in Cairns. If you look at Australia, you've got the tip of Australia on the east coast that goes up and down, like the triangle tip. If you draw a line where the water goes from the east coast over to the middle there, Cairns is probably around that area. It's probably the rough general area, so we're a tropical area. Yes, I'm a tropical knitter, which amuses a lot of people because I don't get to wear a lot of what I knit. I knit shawls, which I wear at work, in the air conditioning. I wear them in the evenings when I go out. Apart from that, I knit for fun, I knit to give away, I knit because I can. I suppose one thing, hopefully you won't get a tall yarn out of this, which is a fib or a story that's unbelievable. Hopefully you're going to get stories that you're going to be able to relate to, or if you can't relate to, you're going to see, well, that's how things are elsewhere in the world. I like to think I'm someone with a social conscience. I do a lot of work for women here in Cairns. I'm involved in a group called Red Pavilion, and we put on projects once a year at least to raise money for the local women's shelter, and that's something I'm really passionate about. I'm involved in 1 Million Rising, which is the global movement that on Valentine's Day we're going to get together and dance around the world to show that women have rights too. But that aside, I suppose that's getting into more about me. I was born in Melbourne, grew up in Melbourne, which is down south, where we had seasons. I miss seasons a lot. I don't miss summer as much, where it would be 40 degrees 1 minute and 10 minutes later it's 28. But I miss autumn, spring and winter. I miss the footy. I grew up with Aussie rules and we don't have a lot of that up here. I love it up here, but at times there are things that I miss from places that are more temperate. I have 2 children. My daughter, Imogen, is almost 15. She'll be 15 beginning of March. Jasper, my son, will be 12. At the end of February. Their birthdays are 4 days apart. I keep my legs closed now, Queen's birthday weekend holiday. I went through a very tricky divorce 6 or 7 years ago, which I won't go into, but it was an experience that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. But that is, on the whole, behind me now. My kid's dad will always be my kid's dad, and I'm glad he's part of their lives. They spend every second weekend with him, usually, and some of the school holidays. My son's actually down in Melbourne with Grandma at the moment, and my brother, my uncle. My daughter goes down on Tuesday. She's been working this weekend, so she's been earning some money, which she's really loving. I moved to Cairns 10 years ago from Adelaide, so we had some time in between from Melbourne. We lived in regional South Australia and rural South Australia, and then in Adelaide for a bit before we came up here. Been here 10 years, been in this house now 8 years, which is quite scary. This house is a Queenslander. I will take you on a tour one day. Queenslanders are built on stilts, so you've got the houses all raised and the living areas are all on the upper level. So a number of reasons for that. One, when the first settlers arrived, they built houses that would have air circulating around them to help control the temperatures, especially in summer when there was no air conditioning. And also with flooding. We get a lot of rain here, and people joke we measure rain in metres instead of inches, although the wet season hasn't started yet, which is a bit of a shame because we're looking forward to some rains. The garden's looking forward to some rain. Been going around with the hose. I've got a bore downstairs and been priming the bore and trying to keep some veggies alive and keep some herbs and flowers alive. But I will show you the house and how it is raised at some stage. I am a fairly new knitter. I took up knitting, I think, May last year, May 2011. I very suddenly lost my job, which was exceptionally unexpected, and needed something to do whilst I was fretting about finding a new job. And I'm just going to move this because the sun seems, oh, wrong way. The sun seems to be going down a bit, and it's going to be in our way. Anyway, so I had friends encouraging me. Tess and Susie had been telling me for ages, take up knitting. So I thought, oh, why not? Went to Spotlight, which is, I suppose, we don't have a local yarn store here. Went to Spotlight where I decided I was going to knit Grandma's favourite washcloth. Got some 100% bamboo because that's really all they had, and some bamboo knitting needles, and knitted a washcloth. And got all my help from YouTube. YouTube taught me to knit. There's a great group of Ravellers up here in Cairns. We get together once a month and talk about our projects, our knitting and crochet. And yeah, but I have also really enjoyed learning from other podcasters and seeing what's happening in other parts of the world. Seeing Jenna from Retro 11 this week recording with a blizzard outside. That's just, even in Melbourne, we didn't get snow. I remember one day at school it tried to snow and it was really just sleet, but we pretended it was snowing. It wasn't really, but yeah, so it's pretty amazing to see how different things are around the world. I suppose I should get into some knitting and some yarn related goodness. Finished objects. I have a finished object. It's a bit of a fail finish object, but still. I knitted the Intersections Break hat. Emsky Knits, Mel of Single Handed Knits, the fantastic podcast, is having a knit along at the moment with this hat. I knitted all in one evening. I cast on after dinner on Boxing Day. It was probably about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and decided to go through. When I thought about putting it down, thinking maybe I need to have a bit of a break, I thought, no, I'll finish this now. And it said, for small, medium to 3 repeats, this is for a friend's daughter. When Imogen goes down south, she'll catch up with them. And this is going to be her Christmas present, which will be a bit late, which will be perfect because I live at the beach and it's her colours. So I thought, ooh, but this is too small. You can see it barely covers my wrist. Mimel, who is actually the man in my life. It's wonderful having someone so special after a really rough time. We've been together for almost 5 years. He said it looked like a toilet roll cover, which is charming. I've actually said it would be great for his niece, but it's not machine washable, so it probably won't go there because everything goes in the machine. Fantastic pattern. I adore the way the cables meet at the top. The decreases are just inspired. Mel has done a superb job there. I'm going to knit it again, probably cast it on tonight, perhaps knit it tomorrow. I'm off work for a bit, and at least do an extra 1 repeat, possibly an extra 2 repeats, just to get it a bit longer. I think widthwise it'll be fine for a head, but just needs that little bit of length. This one I will give to a friend. I've got a friend with a young girl who I think will look after it, so I'll give it to her. The yarn is Three Irish Girls Felicity in the chambray colourway. It's a worsted wool, 50% merino, 50% silk. Luscious, luscious yarn. It's a club colourway from the Stash Menagerie Club, I think from August, called chambray. You can see there it's beautiful denim inspired colours, and it's perfect for the recipient because every photo I see of her, she's in that sort of colour. That's the only finished object from this week I've got to show you. I do have some works in progress, and I was aiming to get works in progress from earlier in the year finished by end of the year, but it's not going to happen. And I think as long as I keep working, the year is just, I have this weird thing with time. It's just an artificial deadline. It's an artificial thing. You know, the days churn over every day, so every day's a new day. Just to put so much emphasis on a year can, I believe, for me anyway, lead to a lot of anxiety. But that being said, back in April, I think, I fell in love with the Aranami shawl by Olga. Let me find this again. Got it here. Olga Berea Kefilian. I've probably butchered that name. I'm really sorry, Olga, if I have. She'll be watching, but still. And I fell in love with her Aranami shawl. She did it in greys and must look like waves. My immediate thought was, it looks like a sunrise. So I ordered some Biggin Designs yarn. Biggin is an Australian wool. It's 4-ply superwash merino. Really nice wool. Comes in the most amazing range of colours, which I love, but only in 4-ply, 8-ply weight. I've got 5 colours. I've finished 3 of them now. Up until a week ago, I'd only finished 2 of them, so I've knitted all the things. I didn't realise at the start it was modular. Being a new knitter, I didn't even look and didn't even think. I think that's part of it. And I thought, anyway, so I have been trying to weave in on the back as I go. I've still got some to go now, which I'll finish off probably tonight. It's good to sit in front of the telly and weave in. Not that I watch a lot of telly. Pardon me. So we have Golden Wheat is the first colour. The second colour is Saffron. The third colour is Bright Orange. And then I have 2 colours to go. The first one is Burnt Orange, which is starting to come untangled, which is a really nice bright orange there. You'll be able to see, go from that to that, if I get it in frame. And then the final colour is Red Earth, which is probably a bit redder than what it's coming across. It's coming across quite orange on the screen. I actually based it around the red colour. I grew up in Mooroolbark in Melbourne, and Mooroolbark means Red Earth. We had our Red Earth Festival every year. I'm not usually an orangey, yellowy person. I love my reds, don't get me wrong. I'm really, really liking how this is knitting up, even if it is a lot of picking up stitches and a lot of weaving in ends. So as they say, it won't happen overnight, but it will happen. My second work in progress is, I should say, sorry, that is being knit on 2.75mm needles. They're absolute El Cheapos, because when I ordered the yarn by mail order, I forgot to order needles, so I had to go to, we have Spotlight, which is El Taco. They have all sorts of novelty yarns. They do have some baby yarns which are quite nice if you like knitting pale coloured things for babies. And I got these, which are the El Cheapo things with the twisted cords, and they're driving me around the bend, but I'm using them, even though I've now got some other needles I could use. Anyway, the second one is Mimel, the man in my life. His birthday in October. I gave him a hank of yarn and said, hey honey, you're going to get some socks. And they're still coming along. He did love getting the hank of yarn because it's Malabrigo sock and the colour is Playa, or Playa, which he thinks is hilarious. Because he's not a player, which is really funny. As you can see, it really is stunning colours, and they're blues and olives, and different blues and greens and everything. It's knitting up really nicely. I'm doing the simple Skype socks, and I've just lost a whole lot of stitches there, which are easy to pick up. That's okay. As you can see, the simple Skype sock, which is, look, it's knitting up nicely. I just need to work on it more. I'm going to put it in my bag now, carry it around with me, and knit when I can. That's on 2.5mm needles, US 1.5. They are the, I think they're higher sharps from memory. I got them online because I get everything online. My third project, I should say as well, my shawl, the Aranami shawl, is in my Stitch Pixie bag from Tangled Yarns. tangledyarns.com.au. I suppose probably the closest thing I have to a local yarn store, not that I've ever been to a local yarn store. They have the most amazing weekly newsletter, tangledyarns.com.au. Go there, sign up to get notified when their newsletter's out, or subscribe to it in your RSS feed or whatever, or just even go there on a Friday, which is what I tend to do. It's fantastic. It makes you want to cut on all the things all at once. My third project is, again, inspired by Tangled Yarns. Kelly has completed, I think, 4 or 5 of these. It's the Liesel pattern by Isolde Teague. You can see here, it's a beautiful summer weight feather and fan pattern, lace pattern there. I am following the modifications that Kelly has done, and Pixie Bee as well. They're on my project page. Basically, I did an I-cord cast on, and I'm doing I-cord selvages. So at the top there you can see there's the bend with the I-cord where it goes around, which I'm very, very impressed with. I am using brown sheep cotton fleece in the Caven colourway, which is black. It'll be good for work. It's knitting up really quickly. I am using different needles. I'm using cast on with 10.5s, which is 6.5mm needles. Now using US 10s, which is 6mm needles, which is 1mm less than is called for. But I'm using the brown sheep cotton fleece, which is a DK worsted, probably a light worsted. But to get a nice fabric, I'm using the smaller needles. I'm also purling all the rows. I'm doing it all in stockinette, basically. Loving it. Almost ready to separate for the line up. Yay! Almost ready to separate for the sleeves. I'm going to do cap sleeves. So I'm just going to cast off probably a picot bind off, which again, something else I've never done before, so I might as well give it a try. There's plenty of YouTube videos to show me how to do it. So I'll be able to do that. Then I will be able to wear that to work, which I'm looking forward to. I've only put the one buttonhole at the top. I'll go into more in bits and pieces, odds and ends later, but I have had some health issues that have made me make some modifications to my lifestyle, and yeah, so I'm not going to go out and start knitting big jumpers and pullovers straight away that I'm probably not going to wear. Now, the big thing about my Liesel is it's in my elephant bag, which is my Lazy Sock Monkey bag. These were, I can't remember whose podcast, someone raved about them. And I went over there and I thought, oh, they were nice bags. And on Etsy, I always look at products that have sold. And I think, oh, and I look at what other people have been lucky enough to get. And there was elephant fabric, and I adore elephants. And I private messaged store owner and said, hey, have you got any more of that elephant fabric? And she replied, she said, oh, I forgot, yeah, I do. And I said, oh, have you got enough for a bag? And she said, look, I do. And she said, I've actually got enough for a Notions pouch as well. Would you like one? And I said, uh-huh. So I got the Notions pouch as well. This arrived early December, and I just said to my son, hey, put it away, wrap it up for me for Christmas. So that was a really nice thing for me to be able to open at Christmas. Beautiful bag, beautiful lining, Stitch Pixie bags. I don't think I've mentioned yet, but show notes will be available at my blog, which is fifakings.com. Used to have a big blog there, and then servers crashed and I lost it all. So I haven't really been blogging there. So I'm going to use it for putting show notes up and for doing some other things as well. Clubs and acquisitions. I am in the Three Irish Girls Sash Menagerie Club. I find that it's really hard to get worsted weight yarn in Australia at times. Um, I know I don't live near a local yarn store, which makes it even more difficult. And with the high Australian dollar at the moment, or the low US dollar, it's actually pretty economical to order things from overseas. I remember times visited England 10 years ago when the kids were little and the pound was like 33p for the Australian dollar, so you were timesing everything by 3. Well, it's double that now, which is, anyway. That being said, my club colourway for November turned up. It is on the Elenia Alpaca. The colourway is Wendy Darling, and it really is pretty. It's pastels, it's got the purples, the mauves, the aqua, yellows, orange. Really, really is pretty. No idea what I'm going to do with it though. It's hand wash, so again, I'm hesitant to give it to anyone who doesn't know how to look after woolens. And that up here in Cairns, I've got a really good friend having a baby soon. I'd love to knit something, but I know that it's really hard. And with a new baby, the last thing you want to be doing is hand washing things. So I think I'll leave it. I think I'll probably knit it up into a cowl and give it to someone else, or use it as a prize at some stage or something. So yeah, so that was my main acquisition this week. I'm trying at the moment to be really good. I have enough yarn to sink a battleship. I'm in a few clubs. I'm going to keep up with my clubs because I love my clubs, but there's no real need for me to get more yarn unless it's, really, really vitally urgent for certain projects. Planning. I am going to cast on an Even Star shawl. This has been in the planning for a few months. Froggy Monkey gifted me the pattern probably back in October, November, when she was talking about casting on, and I thought, it really is a beautiful shawl. I've got no reason to knit one. There's nothing coming up. I'm not becoming a grandma or anything. I'm not having any more babies. I can't have any more babies, but that's beside the point. And I just really love it, and I thought it's something that I can work on. I'm casting on the 1st of January, but it's not because sorry. It's not because I casting on the 1st of January, but it's not because of all this New Year stuff. Yes, I like the New Year. I like being able to celebrate the New Year, but every day is a new day. Every afternoon's a new afternoon, and I think to put off changing things until an arbitrary date on a calendar is not necessarily the most helpful thing. They say that most people who make New Year's resolutions break them all before the end of January. I don't know if I believe in resolutions, or I don't know if I believe in that, but I believe in changes. I had a health scare probably early December. I'm a big girl. I know I'm a big girl. I've always really been a big girl, apart from a couple of years in my late teenage years where I lost a whole lot of weight and then suddenly it all piled back on again. And I've yo-yoed around a bit. 2 years ago I tried the body trim program and loved it, and got down to a nice weight. I was still overweight. I think I was probably still classed as obese, but still it was a good program to follow. Then that's when I lost my job and things fell to crap. So I let that go. But anyway, back in earlier in the year I went to the GP and he took my blood pressure and it was up a little bit, and he said, no, it's only because you're here. And then I went to another GP, same practice, another doctor, who took my blood pressure and said, no, that's up quite a bit. And I thought, okay. And he goes, now make sure you go back to your, I couldn't get into my GP, so go back and see him. So I did. I was having a chat and he says, look, it's probably white coat syndrome. When you come along here, your blood pressure's raised because you're seeing the doctor. He took my blood pressure and it was slightly elevated again. He said, look, we're going to test this out. You're going to take a blood pressure machine home for a week. In that week, you're going to monitor your blood pressure 4 times a day and then come back and see me. So I did that, and about 70% of the readings were high. They weren't overly high. They were high enough to know that I've just turned 40 last year, and if I kept going like I'm going, then it's not good for me, and I've got two kids to look after, and I want to be around to see them grow up, see their kids. So I started making some changes then. I've had a gym membership for a few years. I have a session with a personal trainer each week, but I have cancelled more than I've been to this year, I think. So I need to aim to get back to more. So I've started doing that again because the gym, he's been on leave for a bit. So yeah, but Thursday night, get another session with Alex the Terminator, which will be good. It'll be good to get back into that. I'm also going back to the body trim principles, which is less carbohydrates later in the day. So carbohydrates with breakfast are okay, but lunch and dinner no, and having little protein snacks throughout the day. So it's quite a bit of protein. It's what the bodybuilders use. Not that I intend on becoming a bodybuilder, but at the same time, I need to do something, and that's what I've chosen to do. I think it's sustainable in the long term, and it's something I can do. One of the joys of body trim is that once a week you have a free day, which it's not necessarily a pig out day, but it's a free day where if you want to have a hot dog for lunch or a pizza for dinner, you can. And the following day you just go back onto your protein. And it's the whole thing with the body, so that you're not always on the same level. You have a big raise and then you go down again for the protein and then back up to that level and carry on. So that really helps the body. So I'll be doing that. I love cooking. So yeah, anyway, I think part of this program, I hope to incorporate some food into it. Sunday is usually my baking day, so we'll see what happens, see what I come up with. This week I've been to a couple of movies. I went and saw The Hobbit, which I liked. I loved Lord of the Rings, don't get me wrong. Not that I ever saw it when it came out, I only ever saw it on DVD because I was having babies and stuff when that happened. And The Hobbit, though, it was long. I get the feeling that whereas the Lord of the Rings trilogy was 3 movies that could have been 4 or 5, this is going to be 3 movies that could have been 1 or 2. I know Peter Jackson's claiming that he couldn't fit it all into one movie. I suspect the backers wanted more money and they know people are going to see it. I'm hoping 2 and or 3 are better. Yes, I enjoyed it. Yes, there were some funny bits. Yes, there were some great scenes. But at the same time, yeah, not totally convinced. I'm sure I'll see it again when it comes out on DVD. So then I can probably make my mind up again. Also, when I saw Les Mis, I took Imogen along, and she couldn't remember seeing the stage show the local dramatic society here put on a few years ago. Les Mis has always been one of my favourite musicals, and I loved it. Loved it. I've already told Mimel I'm taking him back. He hates that sort of thing. He doesn't mind musicals. He loves music and loves musicals, but at the same time, he's said he's not really keen on seeing Les Mis because he doesn't know what it's about. When I explained it to him, he thought, "Oh, okay, maybe." So I think I'll drag him back to see it. I cried. I always cry. Wow. I thought Anne Hathaway as Fontaine was just superb. I was blown away with her performance. Really, I was surprised. It's wrong. I still think of her as the Princess Diaries girl. So she has grown up a lot. Hugh Jackman, he was good. He was really good, and it was great for a movie. I don't know how he'd go on the stage. In Melbourne, of course, growing up, I saw a couple of stage show performances of it, and I think I saw it again in London as well. And yeah, Russell Crowe should go back to 40 odd foot of grunt or whatever his band is. He doesn't really have the classical training that could hold the role, but the acting that went behind it was great. So again, I adored the Thenardiers. I adored Sacha Baron Cohen, and Helena Bonham Carter had me in fits of laughter. Just the little bits they added in that, yeah. And I think the thing for the musical as well, it was able to draw in bits that hadn't been able to be drawn in on stage shows. So to see them in the sewers, to see, yes, they try and get that on the stage, but to have it on the big screen was just amazing. So yeah, really loved that. I'm not sure what else there is. Thank you for tuning in. If I've dragged you along, I look forward to catching up next week. I hope to record on the weekend sometime. That's my plan. If not, it will be done in the evening, but lighting might be an issue then. I am aiming to get this up on YouTube this week, and then hopefully get it up on iTunes and see if I can get it up on Blip so that people can look at it in Downcast. Not sure how I'll go there. Again, I'll play it by ear. Thank you again for joining in. Once again, Shownotes, fifikins.com, Fikins. I am Fiona, also known as Fifikins. Check me out on Ravelry, on Clerk, wherever you like. I love having a chat with people. I love hearing what you're up to, and I love seeing other people's projects as well. Once again, thank you. The light is dimming here, so I better get moving. And I'll catch you next week. Uru. Cheers.